You're listening to Over Your Head, a Butch Walker podcast for the fans, by the fans.
Hey, Butch Walker fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Over Your Head podcast. I'm your host, Brian, and whichever platform you're listening to us on, Podbean, SoundCloud, Podcast Addict, Google Play, or iTunes, we're glad to have you here for another episode. And make sure to subscribe, like, share, and review this podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Well, I had a whole story planned for this episode to get things started, but I actually think that story is going to fit in better in a future episode in a couple weeks. So let's talk about some Butch Walker news for the week. So earlier this week, Butch posted on his social media that during the Topanga shows in Topanga Canyon, that he's going to have some special guests appear on Sunday. That would be November 4th. And he included a little photo, a promo photo from the Marvelous 3 Days. So he didn't say flat out that it's going to be a little bit of a Marvelous 3 reunion, but I'm guessing that it's going to be. Because also, just today, which is, we're recording this on October 26th, Douglas Mitchell, who you know as Slug, reposted the post on social media, and so it kind of looks like they're going to be doing a little bit of a reunion. Butch also posted earlier on this evening that on Saturday, November 3rd, Suzanne Santo, who is a previous Artist of the Week on the Over Your Head podcast, will be playing on that Saturday, which is sold out. And I know Sunday they released about 60 more tickets, but I'm sure those are either sold out by now or have gone really fast. So if you get to go to that show, I hope you guys post video, pictures, anything you can, because I'm sure that's going to be an awesome show. It benefits an awesome charity, the Autumn Leaves Project, and I'm sure a lot of money will be raised, and it's a great cause to research pancreatic cancer. So let us all hear about your experience at that show. But it got me to thinking, is it time for a Marvelous 3 reunion? Let's see. Butch has done so many different types of tours over the years. He's toured with bands. He's toured by himself. He's, been the one-man show. So, it just kind of makes you wonder, like, do they ever talk about it? Do they ever seriously consider doing a reunion? Because as of tomorrow, October 27th, 1998, is the 20-year reunion. Is the 20-year anniversary of the Hey album. And in just about 2 years, it's the 18-year anniversary of Ready, Sex, Go. So that's coming up on the 20-year anniversary too. And you would just think that it would be time for them to do a reunion. I mean, Butch sells out all the places he plays and stuff, but just imagine if they were to tack the Marvelous 3 onto that, and Mitch, Jason, Butch got back together and did a tour. I'm sure that it would have. I'm sure it would attract a lot of older fans who maybe didn't follow Butch to his solo career, and I'm sure all the old Marvelous 3 fans will come out. Sorry, I had to take a little drink there. My throat's been a little scratchy this week, so but we have a thread up on the Facebook page. Should the Marvelous 3 do an official reunion? And so far people have said yes, And I'd have to agree. I think the time is now. I think now would be a great time for them to do it. As long as everybody's schedules. I know Butch is kind of going to be on a hiatus through the end of the year until January when I know he's going to be hitting up those Australian dates, a few of them. So, but it'd be nice to see if, he plans on putting out another album. But, I'd really love to see a Marvelous 3. They've had minor reunions over the years where they've come out for 2 or 3 songs when they're in Atlanta or, but I think it'd be great for them to do a proper tour as long as everybody's on board and they're all happy and they want to do it because I think the fans really want to see it. But I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the next week or so after it does happen, because he just said they're going to be there as special guests. He didn't announce what they're going to play or if they're going to play. So I'm sure they're going to, but I mean, are they going to come out for 2 or 3 songs? Are they going to play a whole set of stuff? Are they going to do something acoustic? I'm sure I'll be really looking forward to see exactly what they plan on doing. And go to the Over Your Head Facebook page and tell us what your thoughts on it are. But for right now, we're going to head back to those Marvelous 3 days, and here's Every Monday.
I was checked in by 4, put the sign on the door, looked out the window of the 17th floor, talked to the city that knows me by name, and all the bad things that I do. I shed 5 bitter tears and 5 bitter beers, looked at my watch and said, where have the years gone? I'm wasting away like a castle of clay, slowly crumbling too. Every Monday I get this pain, every Wednesday it hits my brain, every Friday I die, 'cause every day I still think of you. I was fucked up by 5, talking nothing but jive. Told the bartender he'd never take me alive. All of this because my favorite show was canceled last night on TV. So I called up Marie, she'd have sex for free, but for $10 an hour she'd listen to me talk about rock stars and models on dope and why I can't cope with the scene. Every Monday I get this pain, every Wednesday it hits my brain, every Friday I die, 'cause every day I still think of you. Every Monday I get this pain, every Wednesday it hits my brain, every Friday I die, 'cause every day I still think of you, talk like you, eat like you, breathe like you, sleep like you. I still want you.
Hey, welcome back to the Over Your Head podcast, and I apologize in advance if you hear a dog. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about this week was I wanted to talk about music that transcends generations. And when I was growing up in the 80s, everybody liked their own types of music, but nobody really talked about anything except what was going on at the time. Like, I was into rock and hair metal and stuff, but I also was into other bands that we really didn't talk about. Like, we didn't talk about if we liked the Beatles. We didn't talk about if we liked Led Zeppelin. We didn't talk about bands like that because those were kind of our parents' bands. Where I grew up in a house where we liked all of that stuff. Well, at least my mom did. And so it was like you got to listen to all types of music. Whereas once you went to school and stuff, it was either people liked pop, rap, rock, that type of stuff. I felt when you got more into the 90s, everybody just liked what was popular at the time. But nowadays, it seems like kids are making their own decisions on what they want to listen to. It doesn't matter if they're listening to, certain things on the radio, but they'll also make their own choices in life on what they want to listen to. And I feel Butch is that way with his music, is that if you go to a Butch show, you could see a younger person, you could see an older person, you could see people in between. There's no age, there's no race, there's just, the music is all that matters. Now, joining me for this episode is my 16-year-old daughter, Julie.
Hi.
And she is going to talk a little bit about her experiences with Butch since she discovered his music kind of through, most likely, me. And first of all, why don't you tell everybody some of the bands that you like to listen to?
Well, my music choices are quite a wide variety, but the music I tend to circle myself around is more of an alternative scene. I like a lot of bands that you'd see at Warped Tour, well, now that it's ended. I like a lot of heavier music at the same time. I love Motionless in White, one of my favorite bands in the entire world. Beartooth, and then some underground bands. With Confidence, one of my favorite in the entire world. And then Don Bracco, another good band.
Okay, now I know the music you listen to, okay, because I've heard you listen to it. And, I've actually, I will admit that I've started to like certain bands because of you. Bands like Black Veil Brides, and I have liked a couple Motionless in White songs because I have listened to them. But so we kind of listen to the same music. But now when you listen to bands like Black Veil Brides, Motionless in White, I'm trying to think of some of the other bands you listen to.
Pierce the Veil.
Pierce the Veil, Falling in Reverse.
Yeah, I used to listen to a lot.
Yeah, what would take you to listening to somebody like Butch Walker, who's on the complete opposite spectrum of those type of bands?
I still listen, like Butch Walker opened up this whole entire new set of music that I do listen to now, and it was a lot of the lyricism. You could tell that he put all into the music he was making. And I'm not saying that the other bands don't do that, but you could tell that all of his emotion was behind it. And, he may not be the only one writing these songs, but he really wrote these songs.
I agree. That's mainly, I think, what has put everybody onto Butch Walker, is the fact that, like, when you listen to Butch on an album, you can tell that he puts his heart and soul into every song, and as he sings that song, it's like he's reliving that song. But you really don't grasp that until you actually see him live. Now, you got to see Butch live for the first time almost 2 years ago on the Stay Gold tour.
Yes.
Okay, now what was now the opener for that tour was Susan Santo, yes, who once again is on like a complete singer-songwriter level compared to some of the bands you probably would listen to. What were your thoughts on her?
I absolutely loved her set list, Again, after listening to her, after being at that show, it opened my eyes to a whole new world of music. Now that I listen to her, I will go on my Spotify, I will go on a bunch of music sites, and I'll be like, okay, what am I listening to today? Her voice, so beautiful. I loved it when her and Butch sang Descending.
Her voice is very haunting.
Yes, it will sit there with you.
Yeah, it's very like the best way I could describe it is it's a haunting voice that long after the song has ended, it stays with you. But as far as Butch goes, seeing Butch in concert for your first time, what did you think of him?
He is a very interactive musician. And you don't get that a lot from a lot of the artists that you see in concert.
It's not like your typical
Show.
concert. Like, you don't expect to be, like, standing in the front row and, like, him to be cracking jokes at you or the people around you.
No. We actually were in the front row, but it was still a smaller venue. And I really enjoyed the fact that he got involved with the crowd. He actually came out into the crowd towards the end of the show. He enjoys all of his fans. You can tell it by the look on his face whenever he performs. He enjoys being up there to his fullest.
Oh, I agree. And that was probably like the first thing that attracted me to him live was the fact that when you go to a Butch show, you're getting a show. And it's not like a put-on show where he's like, you know what, this is my set list. Like a lot of bands you go see, and it's, you can tell, they have a set list. They do, songs 1, 2, and 3. They say the same thing every night, except insert city here. And, not that they don't love their fans, but, I mean, it's more of a regimented way of doing things. Whereas Butch can come out, he can do songs 1 and 2, and then decide, you know what, I want to do a cover of this song. Or, or he can start talking about something and it can draw him into a different direction where he's like, you know what, I was going to do this song, but let's do this song.
Based off the crowds.
Yeah, based off of exactly how the crowd and what they're doing.
Yes, actually, it was the night right before school was starting, and you were like, hey, we're going to stay out here, we're going to stay outside the venue, and we're going to wait for Butch. And it's like creeping on 2 in the morning, we're like, oh my god, we need to go home. And you're like, wait, one more minute, and then Butch finally comes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so surreal. And you'd think, like, because he's well known, but he's not, like, this gigantic star that you'd see, like, in the places absolutely full to the brims with fans.
Yes.
But he comes out and he's so humble.
Yeah, when he comes out to meet the fans afterwards, it's almost like...
you're seeing a friend again.
Yes, and it's... he remembers people, and it's almost like you're seeing someone with a split personality, because compared to what he's like on stage, when he comes out, he's so reserved and quiet.
It's a different persona.
Yeah, he has a whole different persona until you start talking to him, and then he's more of, he's not the wild man that you just saw like a half an hour before. Okay, now you chose 2 songs to play that you would like us to play.
Yes.
One was Record Store, and one was... What was the other song you chose? You chose Suburbia.
Yes.
Okay. Now, which one of those would you like us to play?
Suburbia.
Suburbia. Okay. And why that song?
Whenever I was younger, like much younger, you came into our lives.
You're 16, dude.
Yes, I know. No, but like this was like 7. I'm 7 years old.
I know.
I'm almost 17, but it happened almost all of a sudden. You started introducing Butch to us, and I remember sitting in the car with the CD in the player, and Mom's driving us somewhere, and I'm singing Suburbia. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm singing off these lyrics. And it's like, no 7-year-old should be singing these lyrics. And it was one of these jams that I still carry with me to this day. I have Butch Walker on my Spotify all the time. He's someone that I hold very dear and near to my heart, mainly because of you and the family, you know. I would sit there and listen to Suburbia whenever I was rocking Cassidy, my little sister and your daughter to sleep, you know. I would sit there and listen to Butch whenever I felt sad a lot of the times, especially, you know, Record Store. Well, another one of the songs that I picked. But that whole entire, like, Suburbia, that song was one song that really, like, shouted in my mind, you know, this was the start of whenever I really got into Butch.
Okay, so on that note, we are going to play Suburbia.
Well, remember the guy who was a football star? He had it made with the ladies, but he never got far. 5 years passed, now he's gotten kind of fat, working 8 days a week at the laundry mat, with his mama and his daddy breathing down his neck about everything he does so much it makes him sick. So he sits home alone with a game on TV as the crowd goes wild. He says, I could have been me. Just another day in suburbia. It's a beautiful day in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you thought it would be? Remember playing games at the rich kid's home. My dad owned a bank while his mom was alone. Every day with the mailman, the trash man, long guy. Kids didn't look a damn thing like his dad. He grew up, got a job, making 80 grand a year. Had a wife and a kid, all the guys called her queer. But his dad never knew, he was too blind to see. Sick, guess it kinda ran in the family. Just another day in suburbia. It's a beautiful day in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you thought it would be? Remember the girl down the street with the kids that used to come outside, but she never did, cause she was trying to hide the bruises where her old man beat her, cause he hit her in the face with an old space heater. Then he'd come home drunk and try to force sex on her, but he didn't see the 44 stuffed in the covers, so she waited till he came. He lied there naked before she blew his head off. She told him she'd been faking all along, so long for everything you done wrong. Here's a bullet, go to hell, cause it's where you belong. Just another day in suburbia. It's a beautiful day in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you thought it would be? Just another day in suburbia. Yeah, this is how we live it in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you want it to be? No one understood. You didn't comprehend. Guess you had to be there from the outside world. So I put my Outcast record on, turn up the volume cause I'm all alone, and scream away. Remember the cutest couple in the world, you know he was a punk and she was daddy's little girl, and graduation came and she wanted him to stay. He had bigger, better dreams waiting out in LA. She cried and he cried as the plane flew away. She never ever wanted it to end this way. 2 years later, she reads in the news, he gone on to be a big star, but nobody knew, cause they changed up his name, but his heart stayed the same, cause every song he wrote was about her, he claimed. He never got to tell her cause he died that year from all of the coke and the pills and the beer, and the whole world cried, but just for one day, cause sooner or later the pain goes away. Just another day in suburbia. It's a beautiful day in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you thought it would be? Just another day in suburbia. Yeah, this is how we live it in suburbia. Best not let it get the best of you. Is it everything you want it to be? Just another day. Just another day. Just another day.
Okay, we're back, and now it's time for our featured band of the week, who, since this show was more about, the younger generation and their thoughts on Butch and everything, Julie is still with us.
Hi.
And I am going to turn things over to her because she actually chose the band of the week this week. So take it away, Julie.
The band of the week I chose this week is a local band to us called Inbound. They are from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they're very much in the way of an alternative group. They are mainly influenced by Green Day and My Chemical Romance. I saw them live at a local venue, and they really rock it out, and this is their song, Prism.
That was our featured band of the week called Inbound with the song Prism. If you want to find out more about Inbound, you can look them up on Facebook, or you could go to their website at inboundpgh.com. And I believe they are on Instagram at inboundpgh. back, and it's time for our story of the week that was submitted to us at the overyourheadpodcast@gmail.com. This week, I'm going to let Julie read our story of the week. We've given Lori the week off. So, Julie, take it away.
This story of the week is submitted by Melina. Growing up in the family I grew up in, there was never a lack of good music. My dad would play any music for me when I was younger, everything from Billy Idol to Guns N' Roses to Duran Duran. But more than anything else, he would play a ton of Butch Walker. The song he played the most was probably Ships in a Bottle. But then, of course, that changed over time. He released new music, and so I would get to hear it all throughout the years. When I got older, I became a musician, and music was the thing that kept me going. However, other aspects of my life brought me down. I was going through some things, and I couldn't deal with people online anymore. So I stopped using my phone and stopped playing my bass. I lost motivation, but of course I couldn't give up my music. So I decided to find another way to listen to music. My dad let me use his iPod from 10 years ago. And I went through the music on there and listened to only one song that I knew, Ships in a Bottle. So that was what I listened to every day for a few weeks. And I finally got inspiration again. I was inspired. I wanted to play Ships in a Bottle, and so I did it. It was one of the first songs I ever learned to play on the guitar. And because I had that one song on my dad's old iPod, it helped me to get through a rough patch. All of Butch Walker's music since then has inspired me. Each and every one of his songs is different and has a different meaning. I've been listening to his music for my whole life, and him and all of his music will always have a place in my heart. Thank you for submitting this, Melina, and because of your amazing story, we're going to play Ships in a Bottle for you.
Now everybody sleeps, but I haven't done that in the last few weeks or so. And yeah, I know the remedy, but that ran out yesterday. I can't refill anything, especially my heart, especially my brain. If I could bottle up this mess, I would do it all again. And I don't wanna know if there's another part of me. Don't wanna feel if I'm alive. Don't wanna smell the bed where you used to sleep. I'm gonna miss it again, miss it again. Just wanna walk away from the ashes and take the fact that I got burned. And baby, let you know I'm still standing. If you miss it again, I'm around. And you live down the street, and I watched you through the windows draped with sheets so white. And yeah, he looks a lot like me. Is it a comfort or coincidence? Coincidence, that's everything. Especially my eyes, especially my clothes. Does it move you inside out? Baby, I don't wanna know. And I don't wanna know if there's another part of me. Don't wanna feel if I'm alive. Don't wanna smell the bed where you used to sleep. I'm gonna miss it again, miss it again. Just wanna walk away from the ashes and take the fact that I got burned. And baby, let you know I'm still standing. If you miss it again, miss it again. All the times we fought about, you never said a word about. And we would just become the ships inside of a bottle, breaking down. we can't survive. Are we breaking down?
If you would like to share your Butch Walker story or submit an artist to be featured as the Artist of the Week on the Over Your Head podcast, remember you can reach us at the Over Your Head podcast at gmail.com, Facebook at the Over Your Head podcast, Twitter at BWalkerFan, or Instagram at the Over Your Head podcast. Well, that's going to wrap things up for another episode of the Over Your Head podcast. If you run over to our Facebook page, I will share all the links for anything that we covered on this episode. And next week, by the time I record, either before or after, maybe we'll have a little mini Marvelous 3 reunion to talk about. If not, we'll talk about that the week after. But depending on when I record next week's episode. But hope everybody has a great week, and thanks for supporting the podcast, and thanks for sharing, and keep on doing so. And as always, in the words of Butch, take tomorrow one day at a time.